Alright guys, today we are going to run a cost basis calculation. So let's go ahead and click a portfolio here. So the first thing that is very important before running any calculation is to make sure all your data sources are synchronized to the platform, or your wallets, exchanges, any third-party platforms that you are deriving transaction data from needs to be synchronized beforehand. That's an absolute must. In this example, we have 152 transactions here. We're going to head to the transaction tab. And all we have to do to run a calculation is to click on the top leftmost corner square to select all the transactions, all 52, and click on calculate. Now you have two options for your calculation algorithm. You have cost basis FIFO and weighted average cost perpetual. So depending on your jurisdiction, you may be able to leverage your capital gain loss taxes based on the most optimal algorithm. In this case, we're going to calculate based on FIFO. If you run your calculation as a trailed start, this is running a calculation from the beginning of your transactions to the end completely. If you run a calculation based on trailed continue, this assumes that you have already run a calculation in the past and you are continuing from that last calculation that you made. So let's say you ran a calculation from Q3 to Q4 and now you're in Q1 of the next year. Well, you can just run the calculation by trailed continue. It'll run new calculation data for Q1 because the Q3 and Q4 data is already calculated. This is more significant if you have a very high transaction volume, because if you just continue from where you left off, you'll save a lot more time. If you like, you can also run a calculation based on the untrailed method. If you use this objective, this is for testing purposes only. This data does not get cached, so you can run theoretical reports using the untrailed method without overwriting any previously calculated data. A very interesting and important feature about the calculation models here is that we offer audit logs. If you enable audit logs, and we'll show you how that works in a minute, it'll show you all the transactions that occurred to get a single transaction. So you will be able to go to the transactions tab and expand on every single transaction to see the previous transactions that led up to that single transaction. You do have some advanced options here, like calculating your tax lots, recalculating dispositions, either sends and sells or receives and buys for specific audits. Let's go ahead and click on calculated. And now that the calculation is queued, all we have to do is go back to the reports tab, or if it's processing, you can just go ahead and continue on another task and come back to it. But we can go ahead and hit to report since I just got a notification that the tax calculation was completed successfully. Alright, so now we see our reports dashboard. You can only generate reports on the reports dashboard if you ran the calculation algorithm. Otherwise, you cannot export these reports. Now, you'll notice here we have a 0.66% deviation detected. This occurs when the inflows are not matching the outflows. The system will automatically pick up on any issues with the inflows and outflows, any discrepancies. It'll let you know the percentage of transactions affected. It'll even let you know exactly which transactions are affected. So you can see here what year this occurred on, 2022. Within a 58 transactions that occurred in this year. And it was related to a Matic transaction here, 7 Matic transactions. Assuming you have no deviations, you can synchronize to any of your ERPs that are connected. You can apply filters on your reports dashboard based on all these filters. And you can even refresh if you ran a new calculation. You have all these different calculation reports that you can export. This is one of our most important dashboards. You can see your historical balances, snapshot reports. If you're a miner, this is a very important tab. And that is it. This is how you run your calculation. Very simple, couple buttons, and you have all these essential reporting functions.